Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's Tropical Atlantic Marine Weather Briefing for Thursday, July 24th. In general, we've got a quiet weekend marine weather-wise expected, with no gales or hazardous seas anticipated. There is a 10% chance of tropical development, which I'll go into a bit more detail on the following slide. And then we have some strong easterly trade winds typical of this time of year in the central Caribbean. Here's a look at our Atlantic tropical weather outlook for the next 7 days. And you'll see one area shaded in yellow across the Northwest Gulf. There's a broad area of low pressure centered off of southeastern Louisiana today that's going to be moving westward over the next day or so and will be pushing toward the Texas coast, bringing showers and thunderstorms to coastal regions and adjacent waters. Development is unlikely but can't be ruled out. There's about a 10% chance of tropical formation over the next 48 hours. Once it moves inland into Texas by this weekend, the chance for development will be finished. Here's a look at the features and the current conditions for winds and waves today. You'll see that low pressure over southeastern Louisiana with some quiet conditions across most of the northern portions of our waters, and then a series of tropical waves across the tropical Atlantic. And what we'll be noticing is that the winds over the central Caribbean are fresh to strong, and the seas in that area are 8 to 10 feet. As we go into Friday, this low pressure will be beginning to weaken, probably into a trough as it approaches Texas. So some pretty quiet conditions across our northern waters. We see a high pressure and a low pressure, neither of which will be doing too much in terms of marine weather impacts. With the train of tropical waves across the tropical Atlantic, as is typical for this summertime period, and then the fresh to strong trade winds over the central Caribbean with the enhanced seas of 8 to 10, maybe 11 feet over the central Caribbean accordingly. By Saturday, the low pressure or trough of low pressure in the Northwest Gulf will be inland and out of view, with quiet conditions remaining across the northern waters and the tropical waves to continue to progress westward across our tropical waters, with the main area that we'll be watching fresh to strong trades across the central Caribbean with the associated elevated seas 8 to 10, possibly 11 feet, at times pushing into the southwest Caribbean as well. Looking 72 hours out now for the second half of the weekend. Very light winds, light to gentle winds across our northern Atlantic waters with seas only 5, 6 feet or less. Similar conditions across the Gulf, with the fresh to locally strong winds across the central Caribbean being our main areas that we're watching, with those elevated seas continuing to be of slight concern. On Monday, our features are no longer displayed on the map, but there's really not a lot of change in overall conditions. Quiet conditions across the northern half of our waters, with the trade winds and tropical waves to continue to progress from west to east across our southern waters, with the fresh to strong trade winds and 8 to 10 foot seas over the central Caribbean really being the main area of significance. And then finally, taking a look at Tuesday, the final day of our briefing, really no change at all, with the areas in yellow and orange on the wind map showing where some fresh to strong trades will continue. And then you see the lighter blues and some greens indicating some seas of 8 to 10 feet also over the central Caribbean. So in summary, overall, uh, pretty good marine weather conditions expected over the next 5 days. No gales or significant swell. 10% chance of tropical formation that we'll be monitoring closely, progressing through the far northwest Gulf before this weekend, really just today and into Friday. And then continuing the strong trades, 20 to 30 knot easterly winds across the central Caribbean, with some elevated rough seas across that same area that will continue continue on into next week. Thanks for joining today's briefing. We'll have our next briefing sent out to you on Sunday, July 26th, on or before 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time.